Okay, everyone, we need to talk a little bit in discussion around delusion. And it's really challenging to talk to all of you about your own personal delusion and the difference between self esteem and living in delusion. It's challenging because you're not watching anyone who is. This is where you want to really actually go with this. This is how you're going to separate yourself and go back into the real world, is that none of these people are real. They're all actors and actresses. From the smallest content creator to the biggest content creator, they do not have, that's not who they really are. You have to distinguish that, and then you'll be able to see how delusional they're existing and living in. It's like going back to watch television shows where you would go to school the next day and talk about Dylan McKay and how he did something on a TV show, and then you can actually calm your emotions and step away from anxiety. Because they're counting on you to take on their anxiety as they anxiety-driven their content. While you think you're their friend, but you're not their friend, you're not their equal either. They think they're better than you. They don't support you. They don't protect you. They are only out for themselves. That's delusion when it comes to how these people are speaking about the most intelligent man that's currently in politics, and that would be Donald Trump. He's the most intelligent person in politics right now, not because I like him, because he's policy driven. And there's been a lot of things in my career that I haven't really liked, but it was policy, and you just followed policy. I had to work a little harder. I had to be a little bit more organized. But that's why you have somebody who is in office to keep law and order when you don't feel like it. It's not hurting democracy. It's actually helping democracy, because then you don't have to worry about the hard stuff. He worries about that. And if you had trust in your Democrat system, we could live a peaceful existence. But it's quite humorous to live in hope and faith in people who live in corruption, like the Obamas, like those in the Hamptons, like the Dorito chip Catholic psychos, as well as Kamala Harris. These people who are supporting Kamala Harris living in delusion, not because of anything more than the facts of policy. You are dealing with something that is unseen to them, and you see it, and they can't see it. That's living in delusion. And then they dig their heels in the ground. This is called what it means to be in a cult, by the way. They're digging their heels in, and they're berating everyone else. So it'd be like watching the Manson movie with Brad Pitt, where he goes to that weird-ass farm somewhere. It'd be like dealing with those people. Because in the movie, she screams and yells at people, but there was no reason to scream and yell. The concern at this point is that the amount of people who are doing those things is in large quantities, and they're all hosting influencer platforms and speaking to millions of people. So if you can really, this is a big conversation. If you can understand what I just said, you'll understand the blanket of them actually trying to close down democracy to recreate democracy as a ORGY, a free-for-all for migrants and influencers who want to live party lives. They could have lived a party life. They could have done all those things, but you're not going to teach us about nutrition. You're not going to teach us about business. You're not going to teach us about any of those things. You're not going to prance around and parade those things in our faces because you need a self-esteem uplift. Understand what I just said? This decay is rampant on this platform and a lot of other platforms where there is no law and order, where they only hold the innocent accountable, and they allow the high volume followers to post whatever they like, whatever they want, and they do it in mass quantities, such as what they do to Taylor Swift. I shouldn't say do to, I should do for. That's called brainwashing. All those people are in their own sect of a cult. Then there's the Democrats, and there's the BLMs, and we've had this conversation before. None of these people deliver on the education of their information effectively landing in the audience. Everyone's coming up with their own ideas. That's complete chaos, because even Kamala Harris doesn't have awareness around what she's doing. Just be is your education in being a sociopath. When a sociopath hurts someone, such as Mona Van, she's just be. She says, let it go, just be. That's her motto. That's the definition of a sociopath. She has no emotion or feeling except for what's in it for her. How is this going to affect me? Are people going to find out? Not because she's going to feel something, but because she's going to lose out on the worship of all of you as audience. Diamond. More sociopathic tendencies to push into your faces. She wanted to go to the white party. She wanted to speak on stages where she's a journalist. She says she's a pharmacist, but never speaks to pharmacy. This is really important. She says, I like, all the time. Everything about her is I, me, like, I like. Praised by one of the most well-known influencers on platform. He carries her around like his own little diamond and praises her to fuel her ego. And then you as audience fuel that ego. But never ever does she deliver on any substance to an audience. So you're not actually liking what she's saying. You just appease the situation. It's like, oh, well, I'll just like it. I'll just put a like there. I'll just put a little like there. However, it's heavy weighted because she's that evil. Even if it's I'll just put a like there. The effectiveness of what the ego draws for her is a mass catastrophe of control of the mind, and you cannot see it, but you sure as hell can feel it. It'll be an argument with your spouse. It'll be an aggravation of fart stench of irritation by someone who just asked you to be patient. Your patience levels have declined. Everyone's in a constant rush. And you're ready to just put yourselves in the grave. If you ask me, you're just ready to die. Because if you're running through your life the way these kids are running through their life, then they're just ready to die. They don't even really care about being famous. They just want to get their so-called legacy so that they can destroy lives or get attention or go to a couple parties. And then they'll say, I've lived a life. However, they've missed out on their whole life. Their whole life is gone. Alex Earl has missed out on her whole existence because her life will never be the same. Never. And that's a bad thing. Because even before that, she was a piece of shit. But she went from like low here to like way low here. And now everybody knows who she is. And not in a good way. So delusion looks like Alex Earl going to a party where everybody hates her guts. And she's the only one that doesn't know that everyone hates her guts. And then she lives in this meditation state of, well, I love myself. That's called delusion. Because it's not if everybody hates you, in this form of Alex Earl, it's clear she has no ethics or morals. If everybody hates you and you teach absolutely nothing, then it's clearly Alex Earl that's the concern and problem. However, why is the beast still feeding her shit? It's because they're all fucking devil worshippers. That should tell you where the world is headed. That's even bigger than Alex Earl. Then there's people like me who at some point had all of you either at least interested in what I had to say, and you still watch my shit. So obviously you're learning something. It's not about being liked. It's about learning in life. It's about yourself and how you're going to leave a stamp worth living, not some bullshit outfit check. You all live in fantasy land of delusion, and hope and faith just bring hope and faith, a never ending of tomorrow that never comes.